All right. What's going on, everybody? Bello here with Soul Vitamins. My trusty brother partner, Brother Jonathan Rushing, is out of town traveling and is not able to join us. And I was hoping he would because I want to discuss this with him. So maybe when he comes back this week, next week, we'll continue the conversation. But I got a good friend of mine, young man in his, you still in your early 20s or have you graduated to your mid 20s yet, Jesse?
I am. I'll be 28 next week. So
Oh man, he's in his late 20s now. Goodness, getting old. So we have Mr. Jesse Day joining us tonight. He's an ex North Carolinian, now living in the state of Georgia, but still in the South. Praise the Lord, the South will rise again, says the Dominican Yankee. But Jesse has been serving in worship ministry, music ministry in church. How long you been in music ministry, Jess? For 10 years? Longer than 10 years?
I guess yeah, it's longer than 10 years now. I started when I was 14.
Started when you were
So
14. So
correct.
you're 14 years.
Yep,
It happens quickly, doesn't it?
it sure does, man. And I've been on
Hey,
the wait list
missionary.
for the Soul Vitamins podcast since it came out. So
Yes, yeah. Jesse actually was one of the first people to kind of get me into like a formal podcast. He has a podcast that we need to get back up going called Soup
yes,
Geek that he started
the
with.
podcast.
Yeah, he started with our his brother Brendan Samuel, and I listened to an episode on Star Wars and proceeded to call them and talk to them for like an hour, and they're like, "You should come on the podcast." And then I was kind of like a somewhat like regular guest member, but. But we're not here to talk about Super Geek or Star Wars or how bad Disney's doing with the whole thing. We're I,
We'll be
I
here
have a
all
feeling
night if we do that.
we yes, Jesse will not eat dinner. He will not spend time with his wife. We will just be sitting here just trashing Disney, and then we'll get into DC, and then it'll be over. But we're going to talk about church music. So before we get into modern church music and state of it from a younger, I mean, see, I am, let's see, goodness gracious, I think I'm 15 years older than you. So it's beautiful to get younger
Close
perspective,
enough.
and I'm hoping to get some cats that are even younger than you. But kind of give us your testimony. Tell us how you came to faith in the Lord. Tell us how you got involved with music ministry, and then that'll take us up to our present day, and we'll get into the nuts and bolts of the issues and challenges we have in serving church music. But let's start at the beginning.
The beginning of my experience,
Well, your faith, so give us a little
my
overview of your
faith.
testimony, and your background, because you do come from a Pentecostal background. So just walk us through all that, and then we'll get to modern day.
I do. So basically, I guess it really started. I've been in church my entire life. Like a lot of people in the church. Were kind of. I cut my teeth on the pews. We had green pews, so we weren't a red pew church. So I don't know if that matters to some people, but
Oh, it does.
you know,
Everything matters.
we we had the greenback hymnal. So, but no, it's I started there and just kind of I took the love of music when I was about 12, and I just always liked to sing songs, and music was just something that was always around because my family was musical, and I just kind of stayed on top of it. And eventually, I saw my cousin had a guitar, and I was like, oh, that looks so cool. I didn't really know what it was, or I didn't have an idea about any of that. I just kind of was drawn to it. But I only bring that up because music was kind of took to a huge part of my faith, becoming what it is. But yeah, I started out, Pentecostal and all that, and a lot of in the charismatic church. And when I was 18, I was like, I want to go kind of see what's out there. I got into some non-denominational. I met people that played in. The music opened up a doorway for me, I guess. I played in Baptist settings and Methodist settings, and met with Catholics and got into not a whole lot, but a slight bit of the Jewish realm kind of thing, and then
Mm.
just kind of it was just an experience because the more you get into um, just different views of the church and what it's supposed to be, it's almost
Oh
like
yeah.
that's radically changed for me.
How so?
So
Give us kind of where you started and where you are today.
yeah. So I would say radically change in a way of I was more closed off, and I don't want to bash a whole lot on the charismatic view of things, but
That's
I
okay. The
just
reform local love it.
well I've kind of seen a little bit of both, and right now I don't know. There's some of it that I question now, and I'm like, that doesn't really make sense theologically. It's just stuff. I guess anywhere, if you don't really dig in for yourself and find out what it's about, then you kind of construct your. If you don't construct your own faith, and I guess
Yeah.
that's where it was for me, is trying to figure out my faith and what it meant to me, and then you know from there it's like, okay, how do you? I don't know. I guess it changed dramatically in the realm that it became real for me.
Mm.
Um, and so, as it became real, my faith began to grow.
Yeah.
And as my faith began to grow, I think it was tested, but not in the way that I thought it was going to be tested. It's
It
like,
rarely is.
yeah. And so I got moved completely out of that realm of things, of like just the whole, the devil's always after me, and I got to go into the camp and took what he stole back, and it's like that was all the theology I got, and I was like, I got to this point, earlier, more recently, after me, or am I just financing my money? It's like I'm in a I'm I'm in a bad
That's funny.
I'm in a bad place, and I'm like, well, what is it really, Cheryl? Is it are you bad? Are you just make bad life decisions, and now your kids don't like you because you treated them bad, or is it really that the devil's after you? And so I
Mm.
think the charismatic church gives the enemy way more credit. Like, we talk about the enemy so much, and I'm like, why? Why do we give so much breath and time and energy towards someone that we were told not to worry about? And
Mm.
so it's just that kind of mindset changed for me. And now I just completely, I got to a point where my father-in-law, he said recently, he was like, well, he's like, man, I just think it's awesome that you literally just, he's like, you just do your thing. He's like, you just walk. He's like, I don't see you like begging God for anything or doing, acting weird or acting whatever. He's like, you're literally just walking and God's just opening up doors. And I'm like, yeah, pretty much. And so it's, I think the more that I just began to walk with God and have a relationship with God, that's where and that's where the music took place in it, is because it's not this. I don't live in that infatuation anymore. It's like, oh God, we got to have this emotional experience all the time. Every
Yeah.
Sunday, if I'm not crying or having this big illumination or whatever, it's like, it's okay. No, like in a real relationship, the more I spend time with my wife, it's like, I might not have like this huge fascination or infatuation or feel this all these emotions or have it's like love is not exploding from me every minute of the day. It's that I have a relationship with her, and I know
Yeah.
for a fact, I know she's not going to cheat on me because I know her. And I spend time with her, and I've gotten to know her, and I'm not even thinking about, oh, is she doing this or doing that, or that's not even on my mind. It's like, I'm not worried about the bad stuff or this person or whoever. It's like, no, I just want to get to know her.
Yeah.
We watched the movie Fireproof last night, and I think it's a great film. But she had never seen it, so we watched it, and we're like, it always gets me, because I'm like, yeah, I don't definitely don't have my college degree yet or anything like that on her, but like, just understanding that it's that, not that fire won't ever come, not that things won't happen and the adversary will not come, but it's like he was told, it's he's seeking whom he may devour. It's not like
Yeah.
who he wants to, and he's just like free reign, and he's always taking stuff from you, and he's always whatever. So I guess in that way, it dramatically affected me. And then also, I was I was 18, 19. I was the musician that was like, I'm gonna quit my job. I'm not gonna work anymore. I'm just gonna go off to ministry school, and I'm gonna work in the church, and God's going to bless me, and because this is my gift. This is what He's called me to do. But now I'm like, like I work as a system admin for the capital city in Florida, and it's amazing. Like I get to make a personal impact with people, and I still get to do the church thing. Like I still get to go play. Matter of fact, the worship leader over there called me one night. It's like, hey, heard you might be interested in whatever. I was like, yeah, well, I used to lead worship, back in North Carolina. He's like, oh, well, this is actually an answer to our prayers. He's like, you want to come? You want to start leading worship like after Easter? Like, okay.
Hmm.
So I wasn't trying to seek it out or anything.
Yeah.
Um, so just my experience, I guess, has radically changed in that perspective. But I didn't mean to talk so much. I just
No, that's
kind of where I'm
what you're
at.
here for, man. We're here to hear where you come from, so we know a little bit of your perspective. So now you're in a non-denominational fellowship, or where are you worshiping now?
Yeah, it's a non-denominational thing. Um,
Okay.
they're good people, man.
Charismatic light. They take you just kind of take it as it is. Like, what's there any kind of like what's the background, or is the background?
I don't know necessarily what the background is. I know I've discussed with them a little bit about, what they've done or where they came from and stuff. And I think the pastor is actually from, where's he from? He's from Vegas or something like that. But they've had an incredible impact on the community, and they've been in the prisons and stuff. So, I just I thought it was really cool that, I think any church that is connecting with the community and building a relationship is doing something right. And they're about to build a charter school, so they have a lot of young people, and it's real diverse. I think it's awesome.
Oh man. Well, having a lot of young people means that will be a thriving congregation in the next 5 to 15 years.
Oh yeah,
That's the youth are the future. We need the middle aged and the old, and of course the senior citizens to pass on experience, knowledge, wisdom, disciple, tradition. It is important. I know it's become a bad word, but without the
yeah,
youth, there is no future.
correct. I would
Mm-mm.
agree with that 100%.
Yeah. So your style, like, give us some of your favorite um, church music, artists or creators or worship leaders that influenced you growing up.
Yeah, I would say growing up was definitely early on. I got in when I was getting more into the faith of things. I definitely got into like early Hillsong and the Unite Hillsong United. Their album still has an impact on me. I can't remember the name of it, but it was like when they got what was it? It was the song. It was a song they did. I can't even remember the name of it, but I just know it had a huge impact on me. And later, eventually, when I started playing music and then playing a lot more music, I eventually got into a lot of black gospel and very
Mm-hmm.
very much enjoyed Israel Houghton. I learned all his songs, and then got into what was it? I definitely Kirk a lot of the old God's property, that kind of stuff. So
Old school Kirk
listened
Franklin.
old school Kirk Franklin, and then definitely listened to my parents had all the CDs of Carmen, so it was probably kind of a broad spectrum of things, and I listened to all the youth group music of Skillet and all the off underground bands that were contemporary that a lot of youth pastors listened to and stuff, and so just kind of
Yeah.
got a little bit of everything. And then as I grew as a musician, I was interested in even more music, and and today it's probably I would have to say the band Ren Collective has had a huge impact on my life.
Hmm.
Um,
I never heard of them. I don't think.
Oh,
What's that?
oh,
What are they
buddy.
called again?
Oh, buddy. Rend, Rend Collective.
Rend
They are,
Collective.
yes, they are a folk band out of Ireland. Um, and their music is incredible, and their songwriting is so pure and raw. But they have my favorite album from them is they have two albums titled Campfire. They
Mm,
recorded it around a live campfire and had a bunch of different types of instruments, and they had like a trumpet and an accordion, and I mean they're just all out, man. They're awesome. But it's like a folky kind of music, and I really resonated with him and his voice, and just he did a lot of like just kind of going in and out of like spontaneous moments and stuff. But it's like it's actually good. That was the first time in like a matter of a span of like 5 years when I was getting dried up of CCM stuff, and I heard Ren Collective, and I was like, this is actually good music.
mm.
Like, and it's churchy too. Like they redid some hymns, and I mean, but man, dude, Ireland, people from Ireland have so much passion in what they do. It
Yeah.
is ridiculous. But yeah, I would definitely say they had a huge impact on me, and I would 100% recommend giving them a
That's a
listen over and stuff.
that's a cool mix, you know. So you've got Hillsong United, Israel Houghton, Kirk Franklin, and an Irish. I don't know if they're independent. I just pulled them up on Wikipedia. Um, oh, okay.
I
So
don't know.
they were signed by Integrity. So
Mm,
always makes me laugh when somebody's signed to a major label and they call themselves or they're classified as independent anything. It's like, oh, indie rock. You're not independent. You're signed to the
right,
biggest Christian label there is. Um,
right.
but yeah, but still, you know, I'm a big fan. I actually there's a friend of mine. He's gotten me deep into what's called Irish trad, which is Irish traditional music. So because I've been trying to get my penny whistle skills up to snuff, because I think it's just a cool it's a cool brand of music. I mean, I grew up with salsa, merengue, or a merengue. I gotta say it right. Funk, jazz, R&B. Oh, I'm still Barry White. Oh, apparently my voice is still coming through like Barry White. Oh well, everybody's just trying to think my voice is lower these days. Um, I have no
Right.
idea why that is. Anyway, so all right, Rend Collective. So you led worship
Yes.
for, I mean, as your main vocation for about how long before you, or like at least like part time? But I think that you were doing that
Um.
as your main vocation, right? For a few years before you moved and got married.
Yeah, it was my main for. I mean, yeah, it was my actually it was only my main for about a year, so give or take, and I mostly did it part time and did some other stuff, like odd job and stuff. Because again, I was sold out to this is all I'm gonna do all the time forever, and it just wasn't. It actually hurt me more than it helped me, in my personal opinion. Looking back now,
Mm,
it's not anything I regret or anything like that. It's just looking back, I'm kind of like, okay, well, probably didn't make the best decisions, and it's not that I would have put down music necessarily. It's just, why not do both? Why not be, go work, but also, focus on your passions or what, it's like, I never quite understood that balance. And so I'm trying
yeah.
to get to understand it better now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
So is
it's
that
just,
something you would say as you're starting to, you know, in a couple years as you cross into your 30s and you start mentoring other young worship leaders and musicians in the church, is that something you're going to encourage them to, man, listen, get a normal job, get a vocation, get a career, and do this on as the side thing. Don't do this as your main thing. What's your is that the advice you'd give, or is it a case by case? What's your thoughts on that?
um, I think my thoughts, like, and I've had, younger musicians that I still talk with that I think are, doing great at what they're doing. But I think you eventually come to the realization of, I got to do something, because you either meet a girl or vice versa. You're like, what can I do to keep?
Uh-oh.
Did you lose me there?
Yep, you said, yeah, I did, but you
Uh,
said, what do I do to keep?
yeah. So it's what do I do to keep both? To keep my love for music, but also contribute to society. And so it's I think for me, my recommendation would just be um, to work hard at what it is that will allow you to like, because it's going to open more doors. The back side of that is what I found for myself is when I was taken care of financially for myself,
Yeah.
it opened up the ability for me to say no, because you will have pastors that'll be like, oh, you need to do this, and you're not going to disagree with them because they're your boss. You're not going to tell them what you
Yeah.
really think. And so that's what it is for me, is having that ability to share my opinion with freedom, and to say, this is what I think, or whatever. It's like, and I had this church that, within the past year, that was, they wanted me to help, but they didn't want me to help, but they wanted, the pastor still wanted to pick songs. And I was like, what about this one for the, I think it's for Good Friday or something. He's like, well, that one talks about hell. And I'm like, okay, so what's the problem? He's like, well, we're going to
Yeah.
have kids there and stuff. I'm like, okay, well, it's still our, this is what we preach. Like that doesn't make any sense, and I'm able to say no and walk away if I choose to. I'm not held by that check that's coming Sunday, for $75 or whatever. I'm like, that 75 doesn't mean anything to me. I'm taken care of. I don't need the money. I'm not conflicted by you saying, hey, all right, well, I'll give you 150, if you come in the way. It's like, what's the point? I'm a prostitute at that point. I don't want to do that. So,
Mm.
it's like, I don't know. I had trouble um, just with trying to do what I felt like I needed to do, or really do what I felt like God's called me to do, because I was swayed by the influence of whatever they were paying me. So
Yeah.
that would probably be me.
Um, yeah, and that's something we all run into, as, you know, human beings with our own brains. But it's difficult to submit. It's, even if you're right, it's difficult to submit to authority.
Right.
But that's a good lesson. It's a good lesson for any young worship leaders listening. Hey, listen, just because you think you're right, you may not be right. And even if you are right, guess what? You're not the pastor. So at the end of the
Correct.
day, he is responsible and going to answer to the Lord, to the highest authority, for what happens in the congregation, not you. You will answer to a lesser degree. So whatever the pastor says, go. Right, wrong, or indifferent. But
Right.
yeah, it does stink when and this is where this is where praying for wisdom and tact really helps. There's Jesse, I don't think I've ever told you the story. You'll get a kick out of this, as will the viewing audience. So I was serving at a church, and it was the second church in my full time ministry career. Because I think if you added up all my years in full time ministry, when that was really just about all I did, it's over 10 years. And when you count all the years that I've been on staff in ministry, it's over 20. And then if you add all the years that I've been serving in ministry in general, it's over 30. And that's a lot considering I'm only 43. So I'm serving this, my second church, and I have this young man in the youth group who's a rapper. This is a super diverse church. The church was like maybe a quarter to a third Filipino, 15% African, 15% Black American, then Hispanics. I mean, it was just like maybe a third of the church was white and 2/3 of it was everybody else. It was beautiful. It was like the closest thing I've had to heaven in a congregation. Like, you look out and you literally see the nations,
Wow.
because people came dressed in their garb, how they came to worship the Lord. They didn't come and didn't necessarily always dress in the standard American, suit and tie and American dress for the ladies. So I had to convince the pastor, twist his
Right.
arm, because he's like, there's no place for that kind of music in church. And I'm like, well, there is. And I'm not the biggest, people that know me know I'm not some huge rap fan. So I told the pastor, I said, listen, I said, if this bombs, in every way, if the performance is bad and the deacons and the elders and the church just, gets all upset about it, I will never ask to do anything like this ever again. And he agreed to it. So that was the way. And of course, it administered, and the people received it like with graciously. And this is in the early 2000s. This is not like you could do that today in a non-denominational church, and people be like, "Oh, that's no big deal." This is like in the early 2000s. Rap is still kind of viewed a certain kind of way, especially by church people. Like kind of how like church people looked at Elvis in the 50s. Oh,
Right.
that's that devil music. They looked at rappers like, oh, that's devil music. But what we did was we did a song. We did Left Behind. The song from the Left Behind, the Thief in the Night movies. There's no time to change your mind. The sun is coming. You've been left behind. So
Right.
it was about getting saved, getting your life right because Jesus is coming. And then I sang the hook, produced the whole track. I mean, it was bonkers. So word to the young, a music pastor, or servant of the church, that you've got an opportunity and you feel strongly that the Lord has led you to do something. He'll give you
Mhm.
wisdom on how to make that happen, and without bypassing authority. Because although the old saying goes, it's easier to get forgiveness than permission, you don't want to do that because some people hold grudges. Pastors are human too.
Right.
And even if it goes over, because I've actually had that happen too, where I've done a program that was everything was okay and everybody loved it and it was well received, and then got pulled aside afterwards and told, "Don't you ever do that again." And I'm like, I didn't even do anything wrong.
Right.
So, oh, the joys of ministry. It's working with people. People are people. So that was that like the main thing that took you from full time ministry or serving as ministry as a vocation? Was it just it wasn't enough to have a family, or was it a
Um,
combination of things? Walk us through that whole thing.
Definitely a combination of things. I would say that I kind of felt leading up to that point that I was like, I knew that I wanted a family at some point, and I knew that uh, $11 an hour was not going to cut it.
Mm,
So, and I know there are churches that pay fine, and that's good. It's like I'm glad that they are. And actually my wife's grandfather, he's helped plant a lot of churches, and his argument is pay your people, pay them well. He said if I could do it, he was like I would rather the church somehow be able to give benefits and really help people and impact their families. But he said
yeah.
that in his experience, the problem is that uh, these guys want to give the church, man, like let's spend 1.4 in lights. Let's get the big smoke projectors, and let's go green screen. Let's buy Apple MacBooks for our whole staff. It's like no,
But don't
let's
pay
let's
him
take
anything. But don't pay him anything. Let's buy him amazing equipment,
right.
but they got to be here for free.
Yeah, and then they're expected to come to every event, serve at least one event outside of what you're doing. Let's also do, it's like, man, it is so much, and it's just not worth it at the end of the day.
Mm.
But yeah, I would
Well,
say,
yeah, because I mean, how are you supposed to live,
right.
or,
I mean, you
or
can't.
or even have time to make tents?
Right. Well, it's everybody's got their own view of how church should pay or shouldn't pay or whatever, and that's fine. I really think that I'm able to make more of an impact, with my family and on other people as I work locally than I ever
Yeah,
did in the church as well, because I would, be on a platform, and then it would be so many services, and then you just don't really get to talk to those people. You don't really get to see them, or they're gone by the time you get done. loading all your crap up or what, it's just like you don't really get time to focus on the important things. So
Mm,
that's probably what it was for me. It was definitely I felt very very empty to a point, and then I got to a point where it dried me up so much, even in just a year. Really for me it was the previous 5 years, but just at the point where it was like, dude, I was so dried up, and my relationship with God became like an old couple almost. It
mm.
was like I didn't know, not that I didn't know this person. It was just like didn't really talk. We just had kind of a routine we did, and just I quit talking about the important things, and wasn't really excited about what I was excited about to be. I just completely forgot why I had a relationship with God to begin with. And I really had to meditate. I took a year, really more than a year, away from church just to take time to just focus on that and get some healing with myself, and just like, and I had to remember back, being 16 years old, and just wanting to worship. Like that's all I wanted to do was just go to church, like before anybody was there, and just spend time with God. Like that's all I wanted to do. And it's like now it's turned into this whole show of impressing people, and look what I can do. And then it's all about, well, the pastor said this and I'm upset, and it's like that's all you're focused on. It's just drama and all, and well, we got to get more lights, and it's got to look good, and then you're focused on perfecting yourself, which is great because I think we should be skilled in what we do, and there should be an excellence in what we do for music, 100%. But then you get so far into this full-time job, and it becomes a job, and any job that you get into, that I mean, eventually you get tired if you go all out and you don't take time to rest, you don't take time to be with your family and people that you care about. It's like you eventually just, you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's like, what's the purpose? What's the point? What am I
That's
impact? I
why,
think,
yeah,
and as a man too, as a man, me personally, I'm like, I want to have purpose. I want to have drive. I want to impact people. I want to build things. I want, like that's where my heart comes at. So I'm like, if I don't feel like I'm producing anything, I get depressed, and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm doing what I was created to do. So,
mm,
and I'm trying to, I have some ideas, for this church that I'm going to, that I'm building a relationship right now, but like I've been hearing talks with other musicians. They're like, oh, there used to be really good musicians here, but they've gone away and they've done this. I'm like, well, I know why. It's because the music sucks. I'm like, musicians don't want to play this stuff. We don't. And I remember being with other musicians when I was younger, that we would just jam. We would just find a church to go to and we would just play for a couple hours, and I'm like, I want to get that started again. We're just hanging out, we're building a relationship, we know each other, and then we're able to do what we can do so easily and effortlessly because we know each other. Because relationship, you can sit there and I can sit there and kiss my wife all day, but like, what, why? It's like, if I'm just focused on the infatuation and the feeling good, it's like, if I don't get to know my wife, eventually that relationship is going to die out. We're going to have nothing to talk about. Like, that's just what it is for me. So the relationship became too important to me to focus it on church 100% of the time. And I just be honest with you, I'm a lot healthier than I was working in the church, than I am right now outside of full time vocational with the church. That's me personally. I'm not bashing anybody that does. Just me personally, I've noticed I've been a lot healthier, a lot more, relaxed. I'm able to choose to do what I want to do with my family, and and it's like it has just been a exuberating experience.
yeah. Well, there's more of a balance, but I think there's what's up,
Yeah.
Caps? Good to see you, Chris Caps. Um, I think a part of the pressure of ministry is, I believe, why there's a reward for
Hmm.
serving, and especially serving in leadership. But that doesn't mean it has to be some crucible. It doesn't have to be
Right.
torturous and unbalanced.
Right.
As we saw with the Lord Himself, He got away plenty from the disciples and from everybody, and went alone
Hmm.
by Himself. And I think, as you said today, in modern ministry,
Hmm.
you're almost made to feel bad if
Right.
you're, you know, Hey, I'm gonna
Yeah.
take a Sunday off. Oh, can you? Is there any way you can come back Saturday night? Because we're not gonna have any music, you know. So there's pressure, there's stress, there's guilt. Um,
Yeah.
and honestly, and this is something we have to be mindful with volunteers as well. With like Rod was saying, Rob served in ministry as a guitarist for
Mhm.
years, decades, and never received any kind of compensation. He's a classically trained guitarist.
Right.
Um, playing in mega churches. He was playing in one of the largest churches in the country that was in Florida, and
Hmm.
never got compensation. So I mean,
Right.
one of the stories he's I don't know if we've I think you shared it, Rod. If you don't, I think we've shared it on a live stream, so he wouldn't mind me sharing it.
Mhm.
Like I was talking, like I'm telling some kind of big secret, but like they had everybody in the worship ministry, like they wanted them to buy a specific piece of clothing. I think it was like a black dress shirt, and it was like a $20 shirt or something like that, which in the '90s was, that was that was a tank of gas and a little bit of like gas in the '90s was less than $1 a gallon. So that
Right.
kind of gives you an idea of what $20 was. Um, but they didn't give them any kind of like they didn't hey, we're going to give you guys $5 or $10 or we're going to buy the shirts for you. It's like, oh no, you have to wear these shirts if you're going to serve in the ministry, and you have to go buy them. And I think that's the
Right.
type of stuff that can really just make people feel a certain kind of way, because it's like, oh, okay, so I'm over here playing 2-3 services a week. I'm here for a 2 to 3 hours of rehearsal a week, so I'm here like 5 to 10 hours a week, and you can't just get me a shirt. And I've been here for years. It's not like I've been here six. It's not like I've been here
Yeah.
6 days or 6 weeks. I've been here for like 3 years, and you can't just get me a shirt. Because like you said, well, we got to buy some lights. We got to buy some stuff and not invest in
Hmm.
people. And I think that's what's really hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm clipping right now. So somebody said they couldn't hear me, and now they say I'm clipping. Hold up. Let me turn myself down here. Tell me if that's better. So
Uh-oh.
I'm turning myself down, y'all. Y'all got to tell me. Apparently, so last week I had a little glitch, and I don't know what the glitch is, but it made me sound like Barry White, and I still sound like Barry White. So that's we're gonna find. I'm gonna find out. Rod, if you got time, if you can hop on with me after this and see if because I need somebody that can hear the other side of it. I can't hear it on my end. I sound just fine. So and that's the. I've always been mindful, and it's funny, Jesse. I actually learned that lesson at 16, 17 years old.
Hmm.
My home church had a major split. Yeah, yeah. Oh man, Chris Caps had a, oh, that's good, Caps. He says work uniform for worship. That sounds like a job to me. Woo! Man, so you gotta wear this, you gotta do this, you gotta be
Oh
here.
yeah.
Oh, but
Oh
we ain't
yeah.
paying you, and it's
Oh,
not like
100%.
yeah, it's not like there's
Oh,
a
hey,
ministry that
Candy. I know her.
oh, you see a Candy in the comments.
Candy.
Oh, there she is. Okay, she just popped up.
Hmm.
Miss Candy King Hauser.
Yep.
Um, so I learned this at, like I said, 16, 17 years old. My home church had a split. We went to this Assembly of God church that was in my
Right.
hometown, DeLand. We knew the executive pastor. He was my principal and the assistant pastor of another church in our hometown of Florida when we moved there from Massachusetts. So we knew them and just a few of the people that at the congregation. But I remember, so I got quickly was brought into the music program. Myself and my brother. My brother's a bass player, and I'm a saxophone, and we were very good when we were teenagers.
Yeah.
Um, so we were there for 2 services Sunday morning, one service Sunday night. Wednesday night we actually had music before the midweek service, so we did music Wednesday night. I went to service on Thursday night, and they had Friday night revival services because Brownsville was having a revival, and it was kind of spreading, and they were connected to
Hmm.
Brownsville because it was Assemblies of God. So let's count that, y'all. Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night. 5 times I was at that congregation. 5 times. And Sunday, it was 2 services in the morning. So 3 services on Sunday alone.
Yep.
And I was sick one weekend and missed all Sunday services because I got some kind of sickness on Saturday and was gone Sunday. So one of the gentlemen at the
yeah.
Oh wait,
Sorry.
no, you're gonna like this, or it's
Yeah,
gonna make
yeah.
you mad, but it's gonna show you how I approached working with my teams as a young minister.
Okay.
So one of the people in the church, which was a guy that we knew from this other church, we knew the assistant pastor from, owned a pizzeria. I worked at that pizzeria, and people from the church obviously would come in to support the business. It was not just because they supported him because he was a part of the congregation, because it was some of the best pizza in town.
Right.
And the music pastor comes in, doesn't say hi, doesn't ask me how I'm doing. He said, "Where were you Sunday?" And I said, well, "I was sick." So?
Where was this elevation? I'm just kidding.
No, they didn't exist. No, they wouldn't have. No, they wouldn't have. I wouldn't have even gotten that. They don't even. Do they even know your name at some of those other campuses?
Oh
You're
no.
just a.
No.
You're just a
No, they
line
don't.
on a. That's I don't want to just put that on them because that's a lot of mega churches. You're just a name on planning center and they don't know nothing about you. So that stung me so bad, I almost quit. I almost quit
Right.
music ministry entirely because and the reason I didn't was because of my home church that had split, my music pastor and my youth pastor growing up and the pastor and that whole congregation. I was like, I know that this is not normal, but I imagined to myself when I got in music ministry and became the music pastor, I was like, man, what if this is the only experience people ever have? I get why people get church hurt and never come back because a pastor treats them that way. Or an elder treats them that way, or just a fellow congregant treats them that way. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I was gonna
it's
say. Yeah, I was gonna
go
say
for it.
they let you go home.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, shoot, they didn't have a choice. I mean, and here's the funny thing: I would ride my bike to some of the church services because it was close enough. It was about a mile, like
Right.
point 8 miles. So I'm riding my bike almost 2 miles to and from church, and the youth
hmm
building for the church was about a half mile from my house, so I could ride my bike
Sure.
there pretty easily. But still, that's pretty dedicated today. Where people can't even drive 5 minutes to church. I was riding my bike to make sure I made all those services.
No social
Very
anxiety.
very
Sorry.
very rare, but I still did it. Um. So all right. So now here you are. You're going to get back in the saddle in leadership,
hmm
and we're not going to get into the 4 chord thing. That's going to be a whole other. That we'll tackle that a different day. But if y'all don't know,
Yeah.
Jesse, do you have summer music on? Is your summer music? Have you actually put some of your music out? The instrumental stuff you've been working on.
Oh yeah, I've got a lot out there, but I'm working on my stuff's like slowly getting better and better. But I recently wrote a song that I'm really excited to release soon. I wrote for Maddie and my friend Garrett. He's a talented guitar player, even though he won't tell you who he is. But I let him listen to it because I have to get my 5 different opinions, on my songs. And he goes, oh my gosh, you cracked the Nashville code. I'm like, well, that's good. It's like maybe this one will get a little bit of traction.
Is your
But
stuff under Jesse Day? Like, what do you release your music under? I can't remember.
it's under my name, yeah.
All right, I'm trying to find it on Spotify. I can't find it.
Yeah, I'm not that well known as you are,
Well,
so
still, it should come out from under your name because I
yeah,
know
it should. I find it easier if you search one of the songs.
what's like one of your most popular songs?
Probably Time,
Boy, they are making this really hard to find you.
of
All
course.
right, I'll look here in a minute. Yes, Jesse. So anyway, I wanted to put a link in here because Jesse
I'll throw you one.
is Oh, you gonna text it to me?
Yeah, I'll throw you a link.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, text it to me because well, you know what? I might have it saved on my phone under my Apple Music. Did you ever release the one that I played sax on, or
Yeah, yeah, I
was
did.
that still a night? So I should have that in my library, but I don't. I guess I didn't save it.
Somewhere, yeah.
Cycle. Is Cycle your last song?
That was the very first one, actually. That's
Okay. See, I see. This is once again just proving the superiority of Apple Music. Don't use Spotify. It just robs artists. I can't. I really have a
yeah,
growing animosity for Spotify.
yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted I'm gonna get his links and put it in here. But just wanted to share with y'all that Jesse is an accomplished musician. He actually plays music that has more than 4 chords. So he's not your stereotypical um, millennial music church musician or musician who's a Christian. So you're getting back in the saddle, and I want to spend just the next couple minutes before you go off to dinner and we let you go.
Sure.
What do you think? What do you think you're going to do differently
Um,
from when you started in music ministry?
Man, I think differently. Probably, probably definitely my working on my attitude towards things. How I
Mm,
approach people. This church is actually very, very good. One of the first things I noticed is they are phenomenal at they're phenomenal at just being with people, talking with people, encouraging people. I mean, these worship pastors, they spend before and after they're at the doors talking to people, and so they know people, they're encouraging other musicians. And I had a conversation with one of them, and that wants me to start leading and stuff. And I said, okay, I'm really excited because I feel like I have a lot to learn from you guys in terms of just public relations and being able to just build that relationship. But
yeah,
I told him as well, I was like, but at the same time, I want to be able to share, I that like the musical side of things, what can be done and what, because I have a heart and a passion and an ear for just the direction of the music and the production of the music. That's something I've really taken a hold to lately. And so, I've just noticed some things as well. I'm like, I think I could really help here too. So just,
yeah,
really excited about the possibility of that. And so, always working on my craft, but I think I'll definitely spend a lot more time just with people. I just want to love on people and try to just spread love, man. I don't want to get in anybody's face about anything bad or I don't want to like pressure or Bible thump or anything. I just want to share love, be around other people that also have a common goal with me, even though I may not share exactly the same views that they have on God. It's like we're here for a common goal. I am the church as much as I bagged on the church for a couple years. It's like how much I hated them. Oh, they don't do this right or they don't do this right or whatever. It's like, no, like I'm talking about myself. So I need to be
yeah,
that to people. That's one of the things that that band I shared with you earlier, Ridden Collective, they have a podcast called Where's the Joy in That? So they start
mm,
every word, the title is like tithing, where's the joy in that? Church, where's the joy in that? It's like everything it's pretty good, but they mention that, and they're like, well, you are the church, so start acting right. And so I'm like, you got me.
Well, you've been married what 3 years now?
Oh gosh, a little over 1 year.
Okay, a little over 1 year. All right. When are you guys planning on getting the family going with the babies? Here soon.
I'm hoping here soon.
Beautiful. Well, I'll tell you something you will learn. Love comes in many forms, but
Mhm.
the Bible says that the Lord disciplines those He loves. So now we can discipline without thumping
Mhm.
somebody with the Bible. We can do like Floyd Lahan used to do. May he rest in peace. He would just kind of slather the Bible on people. So
Yeah.
he was an evangelist in the Church of God. For those that don't know, and he would literally we would joke that he would have like Gideon Bibles and throw them out like Chinese stars because he would just touch people with the Word of God and they would receive a blessing or fall out in the Spirit. So yes, we're crazy
Right.
charismatics. I know. Um, maybe we'll get into that on a separate episode. Um,
Yeah, that's a whole different.
but I think there's a delicate balance, and I think as long as we're willing to do that, when here's the funny thing: like when you want to be nice and you don't want to be mean, um, that's probably when you need to be. disciplined. And when you are angry and you want to throw somebody down, that's probably when the Lord's like, be soft. So it's almost always the indirect opposite of what you want to do in your flesh and in your mind. As what I found when I'm wanting to be the, the bomb and huggy, the Lord's like, rebuke them, and I'm like, I don't want to rebuke. I don't want to. He's like, rebuke them, or disobey me, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to be in rebellion. So
Right.
and
Yeah.
and honestly, man, when we go and as I'm something that we and that I've been a bit to you, I hope is a mentor and discipled you in the ways of church music and the Lord. That's something that you're going to be stepping into, and we're all called to do. I'm actually going to read a book. We had a guest a couple weeks ago, Dr. Mike Mills, who wrote a book on discipleship, and is literally the Lord is taking him around the world to disciple people. He's functioning in the role of a biblical apostle. And I'm going to read that book hopefully before the year's over. But the challenge of the book is, if you read that book, you are mandated and then responsible to disciple 3 people, because this is the problem in the church, brother. We don't have discipleship. We have servants which feel like slaves because they're not treated like disciples, which are then move into sonship.
Right.
He said if you accomplish these things, you'll be worthy to be called the sons of God. And then you look at how Jesus treated the disciples. Very rarely did he rebuke them in public, but boy, he had no problem chewing their butts out in private, especially
Yeah.
Peter. But Peter liked to talk up, so that's what you're gonna get. He
Right.
blessed them when he was right and said, "Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah. For the Lord, for you haven't, for the Lord's revealed this to you." And then he'd say, "Get thee behind me, Satan." He literally called him the devil. So I think that's something we need to be mindful of as much as it's easy to mentor in music and musicianship because we're passionate about it, and it's our primary skill set in the kingdom, right? But in doctrine, in the word, in faith, and walking our faith out, that's where the discipleship is equally as important. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah. And that's what I was kind of getting at too. It's kind of on the same page with just, how do I, like I was saying earlier, it's like, I might not be playing my guitar for people every single day, but like, what are the relationships at work supposed to look like? Like why is my coworker asking me that I've never talked to church about, I've never talked to God about, is all of a sudden asking me what I think about a scripture, that's not too heavily into it. I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you're kind of religious. I'm like, not sure how to take that, but I'll answer your question. But
Yeah.
it's like, what does that mean? Why does he talk to me so much? I don't, and I'm like, I'm not trying to push anything. It just kind of happens. And then little small things that you do, that like just little pieces of encouragement. Even though I'm not like quoting a whole book to you, it's like it. You have no idea what kind of impact your words make on people that could turn their entire day around. It's like, and you didn't even know they were having a bad day, even though they were smiling. There's like one thing you said, and they're just like, just made their whole week or whatever. You just really don't know. So, while as you're walking into that and what you're called to be, which is not, I don't consider me as like oh, I'm called to be a musician. No, I'm called to be a son of God first. I'm called to be, beloved first. Like that's who I am first. It's not anything. There's who is it? Leaf. I don't know if you listen to any Leaf Hetland stuff, but
Mm-mm.
that's so one point he made in this book was people think all the time that it's do have be, do have be. If I do this, all these things right, I can have all these things, and then I'll be loved. But no, it's be, have, do. So because sorry about that. Because
Yeah.
of
All right.
because I am, be who you are. I already am a son of God. I already am loved. So then
Mm.
it becomes, now I have all these things because God has given them to me because he owns it anyways. And now I go do, I do that out of who I am, not
Hmm.
that's kind of where my point is. But yeah, I'm unfortunately I'm going to have to wrap it up here.
Oh no, that's good, brother. I think it's good. Here's the beautiful thing, because this is the argument that we've had between the Protestant church and, to some degree, the Orthodox Church or the Catholic Church. It's like, well, it's not works based salvation, but because you're saved, you work. Well, honestly, if we're all walking this out correctly, it looks the same. Your your your
Right.
your your faith is evident because of your works.
Mhm.
Love, and your fruit of the Spirit is evident of your life. You exude and produce this fruit because you're in the Spirit. So
Right.
either way, we should end up at the same place, though we might disagree as to which came first, the chicken or the egg, right?
Right.
Well, brother, go ahead and enjoy your dinner, enjoy your family. Thanks so much for the last minute coming on. I literally hit him up, y'all, like 15 minutes before we came on. I was like, hey, you want to be on Soul Vitamins? Because he just texted me out of the blue, and I didn't have a
Yeah.
guest tonight, and I was going to, go solo. But I was like, it's so much better to have conversations, especially someone that's, of the younger generation and going to be leading the younger generation. I'm getting a lot of grays, and Jesse, I don't think do you have any grays yet?
Not yet. Still going
Nice.
strong.
See? Yeah. So still got 100% of his youth. All right, brother. Enjoy your dinner. Enjoy your wife. We love you and bless you.
Yep. Love you too, man. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Yep, we got your links here in the comments, and I'll be sure to put it in the description on the YouTube on Soul Vitamin. So y'all make sure you go follow Jesse's music. I'm gonna let him go, and I'll wrap up. That way I don't keep him here for another 5 or 10 minutes while I'm wrapping up the show. So you go ahead and go out of here, brother.
All right. Thanks, man. Talk to you later.
Be blessed, brother. Bye bye.
Bye.
Isn't that beautiful, y'all? He's learning as he's going and growing in his faith, and that's just the most important thing. We have to learn, we have to grow, and we need this younger generation. And praise the Lord that he didn't get so burnt out and so frustrated with the just the function of human beings and how we mess up. The Lord's church. We try to steward it the best we can, but you know, we've all sinned and we have all fallen short of His glory. And unfortunately, along the way, we need to be careful to not insulate and isolate either the old or the young, because we have it in both sides of the church right now. We have young churches isolating the old and saying, get out of here, you have no purpose, you become irrelevant. And then you have old churches that are saying, well, if you young people aren't going to do it exactly our way, you don't have any place in here. So, and this is nothing but the devil. This is the devil, because you have nothing being passed on to these young people by the old that have made mistakes, that have gone through and walked out their faith, and they've seen things. They've been on the earth 50, 60 years. So they're dooming the younger generation to repeat said mistakes. It's incredibly sad. Yeah, it was Caps. He is such a blessing. And I expect great things from Brother Jesse and his ministry. So I'm gonna turn up my volume here on my phone just so I can see what's here. Yeah, so this is so weird. I did a test stream this afternoon on so if you guys aren't in the Gabriel Bello group, join the group. I'll see if I can find it and put it in the chat. I did a test stream and it sounded fine. There was no Darth Vader Barry White voicing. Yeah, yes, Miss Launder, you are 100% correct. We need to build the bridge. And, I'm at the tail end of that bridge. In 7 years, I'll be in my 50s. Of course, here's the thing. I don't believe it's an age thing. I believe it's a mentality thing. As we see many thought leaders and culture leaders today are not young. Jordan Peterson is not young. John MacArthur is far from young. And before he passed away, R.C. Sproul was not young. Brother Timothy, he's the overseer in the Church of God. Somebody help me out. It's not Tim Drake. That's the third Robin. Tim Hill. Tim Hill, I mean, he's the head of the Church of God and very relevant to the youth. The youth in the Church of God know who he is. Y'all give me some other examples of somebody that is culturally relevant. Vodi Bakum. I mean, it's so easier for me. Isn't it sad? It's easier for me to run off in the Reformed Church. That just goes to show that the the Pentecostals are kind of doing, I think, a little bit of a shoddy job. Or maybe I'm just out of the loop. Y'all tell me. Maybe I'm out of the loop, and maybe I'm becoming reformed in my old age. Jonathan would have some jokes for that. He'd say it was predestined from the beginning of time for that to happen. I mean, there's Bishop Alan DiDio of Encounter Ministries and Mario Murillo. And what is it? The Greens. Oh my gosh, I'm friends with him on Facebook and follow him on Instagram. Him and his wife, they were doing revival stuff during COVID. So yeah, there are people that are building bridges, but we need more of them in the local bodies. We really do. I'd say close to half of the churches I have served at in 20 years. There's been a huge gap, or even the larger churches that I've served in several mega churches, y'all, with thousands of people coming on any given Sunday. And those congregations all the youth had their own service on Sunday. And it bugged me. It was irritated me, but it didn't I wasn't pushing back until until the last church that I was at, the last mega church I served at, where I was adamantly, oh man, okay, I heard that crack a little bit. Sorry, y'all. I was adamantly against it, vocally against it, because I saw the folly in it. Mostly because they would have the youth come every fifth Sunday and do the music, and they had never served, nor been mentored, nor been discipled. They just did their own thing. And I know this is going to sound harsh, but there was a book that I was given in my formative years in full-time ministry, and it was specifically to music ministers, because, oh man, hold up, I've got to find this video, y'all. We're gonna end with this, and this is why this is so important. This book talked about what was called bastard ministries, fatherless ministries. I know that's harsh. Oh, it's a curse word. No, we use that word today is used out of context. A lot of people don't even know what that word means, but it's fatherless ministries, music ministries, and music ministers, and these Christian music artists that were using, and this still happens to this day, they use the congregation as their platform to build fame for themselves and a career in music. But they don't care about the authority of the local congregation. They don't care about discipling or being a part of that local congregation. And this pastor, I just saw this. Yeah, you're 100% right, Caps. It is not just the mega churches. It's trickled down to the smaller churches as well. 100%. Thank you, Parker and Jesse Green. Thank you, Rod. Did you go looking at Facebook? Because it was escaping me. Miss Londa had a good point. Yeah, we need to bridge the gap between the younger and older ones. I quoted her I don't think I quoted her and gave her credit for that. But I am going to find this thing that I sent to. Nope. Hold up. I'm gonna have to look in my reactions. It should be here in my reactions. Okay, let's see. Oh, maybe it was this one? Let's see. Oh, yep, here it is. Okay, so I'm going to pull this up, and we're going to watch this. I'm going to comment on it just a little bit, and then we're going to wrap it up. So I'm going to do, gotta see. Oh, that's right, I can't. Okay, I gotta add a source. That's right. I'm not using I'm not using OBS. OBS was really noisy this afternoon for whatever reason. So I need share screen, and there we go. Yeah, that's the one we want to share. Okay, here we go.
It's because of the small things that we let in, and those small things, listen to me, are not always the most obvious things. Some of you are ready for me to start going on about abortion. If you don't know that killing babies is a problem by now in 2024, if you don't know, then I don't know what to do for you. I cannot look. It's not about my body, my choice. It's not about Democrat versus Republican. If I have to break.
Oh, hold up. That's the wrong one. Hold up. Wrong clip. Because the one that I shared, it's the same pastor, but it hit so hard. It's that same pastor. He talked about why won't it come up now? What is this guy's name? I promise it's going to be worth it. I apologize for the Elijah Chanak. Ooh, boy.
The easiest way to get...
Here we go. Y'all ain't ready for this. Here we go.
A microphone in the church now is to become a worship leader. It's the easiest way to authority. Because now you do not have to be licensed. You do not have to be educated in biblical doctrine. You do not have to understand hermeneutics, homiletics. You do not have to understand ecclesiology, pneumatology. You don't have to understand eschatology. You don't have to have any level of understanding of historical or systematic theology. You don't have to have any understanding. All you have to do is have a voice, then you get a mic. Then you get a mic, then you get an EP. Then you get an EP, then you now go on radio. Then you go on radio, and then now you begin to increase in followers. And then now we have worship leaders who have more followers than pastors, and all of a sudden now I can now start a ministry. I do not have to go through any level of discipleship. I just have to be talented. And once I'm talented, I can now mount the podium and begin to teach damnable heresies.
Facts. Looking at you, Reckless Love.
We said sing, you're now teaching. Break it down. You have to be qualified to teach. The Bible speaks about elders being apt to teach. And so now the greatest platform for discipleship is the Instagram Live. Example, the easiest way to get a microphone in...
Oh my goodness, I almost feel like I just need to let that thing go one more time. I've seen it. I think that's the fourth time I've seen it. I just found that the other day. I mean, it maybe was 3 days ago, and I watched it 2 or 3 times immediately. And then of course I started going through all those videos, and that was the other one that he was talking about. If I have to explain to you why abortion is a sin, if I have to explain to you that homosexuality is a sin, Elijah Chanak. Yeah, I'm gonna be checking this guy out, and he's very interesting because he's walking around with an American flag as his church rag, and in his comments it has or in his bio it has the where was it? I thought he had like the American flag, some kind of whatever country he's from in the continent of Africa, and then the cross, I think. So anyway, yeah, something to chew on for sure, because this is I think what I want to talk about. This is what I want to get into that with Jonathan next week. Why we sing what we sing, and I don't know what I'm going to call it, but I'm going to try to think of a catchy title. Maybe y'all can help me with what we should call it, because we do. There's a lot of things that I was actually I'm looking forward to. I want to have this discussion with maybe get Sharvis and Pastor James. So my brother Sharvis Whitted and Pastor James. What is Pastor James? His name. He put his name different on Facebook, and always makes me. I always want to call him James Sings, but it's James Coulter. That's it. Pastor James Coulter, who was a worship leader and now a lead pastor and still a worship leader. Why we sing what we sing in church today, and why. Yeah, just kind of the purpose of praise and worship, and some of the songs that we sing in praise and worship time that are spiritual, and they're encouraging, but they're not songs of praise or worship. So that's and especially in this context, because exactly what he said, we have a lot of people that are undiscipled. They're blessed with talents, but we call a lot of talented people anointed because they give us the goosebumps. But goosebumps are not the anointing. Okay? Let's just get that out the way right now. Goosebumps are not the anointing. So just because you got a platform and we know your name and your song makes people emotional, Reckless Love, I'm looking at you. And if y'all like that song, good for you. We are going to disagree, and I am not going to apologize for having strong issues with that song, because I believe that is damnable heresies, as that pastor just said. To say the Lord is reckless and it ain't poetry, might as well call him adulterous. Well, I'm just being poetic because he loves everybody. You're gonna say that too? That's the viral clip. That's gonna get clipped out. Michael, that's what's gonna get clipped out and go everywhere. And he said what? Yeah, that song makes me. It gets me very upset, because we sing. Or do you pay attention to what we sing in church? Because I tell you what, there's some stuff that I've seen on the screens, and this started happening to me about 6-7 years ago. When I wasn't the main person in charge, serving a part of, as a team, and I started really. I was always led by, if the music didn't jive, that's what I looked to. That's what I gravitated to first, because I'm as much as I am a lyricist and a songwriter, to me, if the music doesn't speak, I don't care what the song says. But because all this music doesn't speak, I had to become a lyric inspector, and I started really dissecting these lyrics and saying, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, that's not. I don't know about that. Maybe to a fault. But what's worse, to overthink the lyrics or to not think of what we sing at all? All right, let's see. There we go. Miss Sister Candy says, that's good. I ask that a lot. If it's not biblical, don't sing it, even if everyone is singing and loving it. Yeah, no, I've had to, we had Brother Leonard Jones on here a few weeks ago, and I need to get him on this. I need to bring in the heavyweights in this conversation, because he's to the point where it's beyond the spiritual accuracy of it, or the scriptural. I mean, obviously if that's an issue, yeah. But he's walked out. He shared in the interview that they were singing something so mundanely repetitive, in vain repetition. He said, Lord, I don't believe you're in this, and I don't believe you're here. If they sing this one more time, I know you're not here, and I'm walking out. And they sang it one more time, and he walked out. Walked out of this, like, just left the building. So, yeah. Well, Miss Candy had family leave her church because she stood against that song. You mean Reckless Love? Well, good for you. Good for you. I mean, at what point are we just gonna let him? I mean, they're singing Andy Stanley's church. They were doing Highway to Hell, and they were there was several churches when the Greatest Showman came out. They were doing that Never Enough song. I mean, it was a secular song, and I was in a church service once where they did an Adele song, and I'm like, what are we doing? I mean, it's not You Raise Me Up, it's not did you ever know you're my hero, Wind Beneath My Wings type of thing, where it's like, well, that can kind of go either way, or the prayer, it's not like the spiritually like it's something that's kind of like it's on the line, and most people don't get offended by it. The reason they're offended is like, well, this was a secular pop song, but you look at what it's saying and it's like, well, yeah, it's arguable. It's honestly certainly better than who was it that I had lunch with a Anglican priest. I'm hoping we're going to have him on for an interview. Anglican Orthodox priest, and he said basically, if you can change the words from Jesus to baby, then you probably shouldn't sing that song in church. And I said, oh, you mean like the South Park episode? And it took him a while. He said, he doesn't really watch South Park, obviously. But when I started describing to him the situation, he said, oh yeah, now I said, Pastor, you literally described the episode of the song. Literally, the main Cartman was taking love songs and just taking instead of singing baby, he literally said this to his little kid friends in the band. He said, listen, we just take out baby and put in Jesus. And he became, a Myrrh award-winning artist. I argue you could do that today. I argue we are doing that today. A lot of our songs in church are that. They're bad bubblegum pop love songs. This is why I agree a lot with our reformed brothers and sisters in Christ. Now I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't say, well, don't you listen to Hillsong, don't listen to Bethel, don't listen to these people, don't you do that. I don't go that far. But like that pastor just said, oh man, they sing really well. Put them on, let them lead worship. They don't know, and then they go to exhorting. They go to opening their mouth, and they are wrong. And then they're writing songs for the church to sing, and they're just writing what they know because they haven't been discipled. This is what Jesse and I were talking about. This is why discipleship is so important. This is why Jesus said, "Go ye to the four corners of the world." We're not flat earthers here. Go ye into all the world, pantata ethne, and make disciples. Don't make converts. He said, make disciples, baptizing them in the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost, and casting out devils, and laying hands on the sick. All of it. We like to just hyper focus on this one, and hold up, Caps, I got it for you. I got it.
Inconceivable.
Hopefully that's actually coming through. Man, I am low. Oh my gosh, Rod. I promise you, Rod, there has been a church that they may not have sang it, but they probably put that video up in the congregation. I would say that has definitely happened. So, all things for us to ponder, but do me a favor, y'all, before, when I want you, if the Lord don't come and the creek don't rise, to come next week or just go into the Soul Vitamins Facebook page or go into the comment section on a YouTube video and share, what did your church sing? And I want you to either bring out something that stuck out to you, positive or negative. If they sang an old hymn that had a lyric, or if they sang a new song that, man, this song, I've never heard it before, and I don't know who sings it, but this line just really stuck out and encouraged me because it reminded me of this scripture. Or give it, bring the opposite. Say, we sang this song, or because there's even some hymns. This is what I loved about serving with Pastor Corey Kohlravi at the Presbyterian Church. He would ask politely. He was so polite, because I've worked with some pastors that order you to do stuff, and he would just ask, and I would lovingly comply with joy in my heart. Let's not sing the verse of this song, because if you look at this line, it really doesn't line up with the doctrine of the church. So we're not going to sing this stanza. So I would like you to sing verses 1, 3, 4, and 5. Or 1 and 3, we'll do the benediction and come back and sing the 5th stanza at the end as the benediction. But let's not sing the 2nd verse for these reasons. In old hymns, that's saying something, y'all. That is caring for your congregation, for your sheep, and being careful. We have to guard ourselves. Satan is roaming like a lion. And he has snuck into the church in any way he can. He sneaks in. So we have to keep our guard up. This is why Ravi Zacharias' ministry was important, and it's a shame that it was, people don't even like to say his name anymore because of his mistakes. You gonna tell me he was any worse than Solomon? And we quote Proverbs every week, don't we? I mean, we do read a proverb a week, daily. You read a chapter of Proverbs every day of the month, and you get through the whole chapter 12 times, 12 times, a year. Well, what was he doing that Ravi Zacharias wasn't doing? I mean, I would argue that what Solomon doing was way worse. And we ain't got no problem reading 1st, 2nd Kings, Proverbs, Song of Solomon. I'm just saying. There's one by older congregation that's already out there. What are you talking about, Caps? I'm sorry, I saw it pop up, but I didn't see it when you said it to put it into context. But I want you all to share that next week, and to lighten up, to lighten the spirit. I'm gonna play something that's just funny. I wanna just do a little bit of something super duper funny. So this is a skit. My brother Todd, Todd Fallen, shared this texted this. He's the drummer at our congregation, and he he sent this the other day, and I had not seen this in years. So I'm just gonna put this Rod's earlier message. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, that's what he was talking about, Caps. He was talking about the Jesus Christisma, you know, the word that you can't say on the internet, or that you shouldn't say on the internet unless you got enough melanin in your skin, which I have enough melanin, but people would still find it, that's just not a proper word, It's such a, maybe we'll do a whole episode on that. That'd be something. The N word in church. So ridiculous. Good. Hey, Daryl Oldham, see? Start talking about black stuff, and Daryl, who is, my goodness, man, I got more melanin than he does, but he's blacker than I am, 100%. We got to get, you know what, D? We need to get you in here, and you need to share your testimony. You need to get in here and share your testimony, D. Yo, my brother Daryl Oldham, D. Brown Oldham, had such an incredible life and career, and how he is now in full-time ministry. Yeah, we got to get you up here, bro. We got to get you in here. They are relatable. It's 100%. No, D, you need to go back and watch this episode, especially the clip. I'll text you the clip that I played earlier of this pastor talking about the easiest way to get the platform in church. And I'm telling you, if you don't think that Satan is sending in people into our congregations that are out there looking for a platform, looking for worship, if you don't think that's happening, you are blind. That's all I'm going to say about that. Well, it's not all I'm going to say about that. That's what I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say about that today. So I'm going to play a little bit of this song. Hopefully it doesn't get flagged too bad, but just to lighten up the mood, because we got pretty serious between me and Jesse. So this is You Better Whisper. You Better Whisper a Prayer from Ricky Smiley, and this is just a funny church skit that it just brings me incredible joy. So after this, I'm gonna bid y'all a good evening. So make sure you go to my website if you're looking for good original Christian music. Go to my website. Go to Spotify. Well, if you absolutely have to use Spotify, use Spotify. If not, I'd rather you listen to on YouTube. I make less, but Spotify is it's second cousin to the devil. So if that's your music platform, by all means, listen to my music there. But go to Apple Music, Amazon Music, YouTube. All my music is there for free. And I've got T-shirts like these, especially my musicians. You definitely want to get you one of these. Jesus Deserves More Than 4 Chords T-shirts. Whisper a Prayer. And I've got some really cool stuff coming out of ways that I'm going to build a support system, because what we're doing here in Gabriel Bello Music, what we're going to be doing here on By Faith, which we're going to have hopefully some live video happening Monday with some construction going on. And Brother Jonathan's going to be on there with us. But we want to see you here on Soul Vitamins. So make sure you like this stream, comment on this stream, share this stream, especially with a fellow church musician, or just share it with a fellow believer. All right? We're here doing, Jonathan, between Jonathan and I, we got over 40 years, actually probably over 50 years in church ministry and music ministry. So, we believe we're doing what the Lord has called us to do. So with our music, with our giftings, and most importantly, trying to make disciples. So that's it. Here's a little bit of Whisper the Prayer, and then we're going to call it a night. Jesus loves you, and so do I. Here we go. That's what you gotta whisper a prayer. Yeah, you ain't
Holla! Just whisper! Whisper! Whisper to Jesus, just whisper! What you hollering for? Oh, you gotta! Why y'all singing so loud in the background? All you got to do is whisper up around in the wow. You need to stop hollering at Jesus. Stop hollering at the Lord. You need to whisper up. Oh! Why is that pain in your head? Cause you're hollering.
Cause you're hollering.
All you got to do is whisper. Why am I dizzy right now?
Why am I dizzy right now?
Is it because I'm not whispering? I don't know. Deuteronomy, that's why you're singing so loud. All you got to do is whisper. Ow!
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 Keep your head. Whoa! You got to whisper. Cut it down, son. What you hollering about? Hush. Cut the drum down, son.
Cut the drums
When you
down.
playing that
They ain't
so
a
loud,
drummer
the song is
playing.
supposed to say whisper. Bring it down just a little bit. There you go. You are
All
the
right,
whisper.
That's it.
Play
Y'all
it
be
on,
blessed. Have a great night.
Ow.
Amen. Peace out.
Keep your heart. Keep it in tune. Hold on.